Attention, bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, yodelers. We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I'm your host today, G5th, with
Jackie?
and
I'm Peter. I know, right?
I'm taking back right.
You're taking off. I felt like this topic today, I need to be present. I needed to be present for this topic, so.
You don't want to escape?
No. Peter needed to be here. Not Bob Chapek, not some random person.
Character.
I needed to be here for this episode.
And we have special guests today,
Stormy.
and
Nathan.
and today
They've been sleeping in the room for an entire week.
right. Pay no attention to how we do things in this podcast. It's like push the lever, more fire. So yes, we are brought together to talk about Disney adults.
There's a lot of controversial, behind Disney adults, especially, on TikTok. There's a lot of hate. They're there's this, trend, she's a 10, but she's a Disney adult, and they're like, oh, 3. And just geez, so much hate.
I'm oblivious to. I know there was these people throwing out there was a pretzel lady complaining how her vacation was ruined by Disney adults, and I was like, adults can't have fun at parks either.
Yeah, I didn't understand it either. It was like, okay, that just sounds like very ignorant people that are just selfish. How dare you?
Our time.
We are
off.
recording here, Stormy.
Sorry. Blame it on the kids.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, so I oblivious to this, and I always thought I worked with Disney kids or Disney adults that played in the parks. That was one of the incentives. You work there, you get access to the park, and I never got any complaints oh, you Disney cast members are ruining the park by coming here after. I never got complaints, but that's just me. So I pulled up this article. It's in the Rolling Stones, and it's called "How Disney Adults Became the Most Hated Group on the Internet." And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
I was like, there's
That
some
is-
pretty
that is a
hated
statement.
groups in there. And I know the bronies are like, yes, not us. No. I'm sorry. I'm not hating you bronies. I just they even mentioned here, it was like, boy, it was a hot minute. Everyone hated the bronies, but now Disney adults are the most hated group. And I was like, jeez.
They're
What?
just jealous.
So it starts off with people were saying Disney fans are a plague upon society, says one expert. They will be the end of Western civilization.
Oh, wow.
I'm just
So powerful.
We have ultimate control.
We can take over the world.
Well, Disney's not that far behind.
they bought Deadpool.
It's like we're just picking a side, everyone. You got to choose what side you're on. Our side's gonna win. It's gonna take over. Just play nice with the mouse.
We're going to snap our fingers. And
It just sets the tone for the whole article where you're like, geez, I never thought being a Disney fan or a Disney adult fan so extreme. So it sucked me in, and so we'll go through it. It goes, so the author goes, by all reasonable definitions and standards, I am a Disney adult. I have seen all the movies multiple times and enjoy most of them, at least a little bit. I have strong, that's like Black Cauldron. You're like, I enjoy it, sort of. There's something in there.
obligation.
I have strong opinions about various developments in the theme park ecosystem, and I have adopted a strategy of Germanic efficiency towards conquering the massive crowds and wait times in the U.S. parks. I am one of those people who scream, Bob, weave, while trying to navigate my family through the swells of humanoid mozzarella sticks on Main Street. At that point, I was like, yeah, I'm a Disney adult.
Yep.
How about you guys?
Yep.
As I wear my Robin Hood t-shirt.
Right.
I was just like, oh, okay, I didn't know it was that easy. This gatekeeping's really loose right here on this one. In your mind, are there other requirements to be a Disney adult? You know, I think that's a very loose term
There's
to
a
get people
lot of
angry.
Different levels of Disney adults.
Oh yeah.
You've got like your Disney vloggers on YouTubers. They're like a whole different level of Disney adults. Then you've got just like the Instagram Disney adults. You got the podcasters, right? No, just kidding.
I was like, I was like, oh, I don't want to scare away our fans with this.
The people who are listening are
But then
Disney
Disney
adults.
Yeah.
Or not an adult.
who's honestly like, I'm not into Disney, but I'm gonna listen to this podcast called Matterhorn Yodelers. It might be good. They might yodel.
I think we've gotten some of those from Switzerland where they were probably deeply disappointed that we were not yodeling.
There, Germany. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like chill Disney adults, and I hope I'm one of those chill Disney adults.
You know my saying, one cannot claim their own sanity.
Right.
This is true.
But then there are those extremes, and I feel like this article may be an extreme, and they also may be talking about Disney adult, like, so-called Karens.
Yeah, they did bring in Karens. I didn't really care for that part of the article because then they started bringing up like race and like politics, and I was like, nah, I don't think that really applies in this situation right here. You're just gonna have cranky people no matter what. I mean,
It's just the truth. There's gonna be cranky people at Disney, and you just have to learn how to deal with them.
Yeah, there's entitled people everywhere you go. I don't feel like that's exclusive to Disney. Like, they don't own those rights yet.
Right.
Sometimes the Disney adults are happier because they're not dealing with cranky kids.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're usually cheerful, and they're I don't. Those who didn't have kids in the park were easier to maintain because they usually knew the rules, and they weren't trying to break it or bend it to get everything in because their expectations are reasonable. They come in with a goal and they know what they're trying to do. And so that's kind of like my thought with it going into it. But on the internet, however, being a Disney adult is nothing short of an embarrassment. A Disney adult is someone who lives and breathes the brand, buying limited edition mouse ears and popcorn buckets and branded fitness trackers the moment they drop, constantly posting free advertisement for the parks in the form of Cinderella's castle, whilst wearing rose gold mouse ears as I look up onto the wall of many mouse ears of Yoder Jackie's house. To declare oneself a Disney fan is adulthood, is to profess to being nothing less than an uncritical bubblehead ensconced in one's own privilege, suspended in a state of permanent adolescence, raised on a diet of wasps, wasted, where's the period? Wasted princesses and talking animal sidekicks and dancing candelabras, refusing to acknowledge the grim reality that dreams really don't come true. Boy, what a poo-poo on that.
So you're saying if you wait 7 hours for a Figment popcorn bucket, that makes you a Disney adult?
I would say
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, where's the line of like it going too far with this merchandise?
What's the line of going too crazy?
Yeah, what do you guys think that line is?
I would say if you're willing to wait 7 hours for a popcorn bucket, that's a bit extreme.
I mean, it's not like there's
I waited an hour for a popcorn bucket, but
I think that's reasonable for a fan, but like the Figment bucket was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous when
Yeah.
that thing happened.
Or the
I
peppermint
can
cane
imagine
thing.
one.
Yes, I
The
did.
peppermint?
The candy cane, the freshly made candy canes.
Oh,
I
yes.
remember
Yes.
that.
I did it one year because my wife was all like, "I want to try it." So like,
She had like 2 bites and threw it away.
yeah, she's like, "Oh, okay," and like, it was a pain in the butt to get that thing for her, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Let's just say, we're not doing that one
I
again.
feel like those extreme Disney adults makes something like really big and something really important for something that's really not that like big of a deal, like popcorn buckets or like a certain like
Pin
food item.
releases.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get that specialty cupcake that's designed by the monorail people. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There's Disney fans that have their like favorite food. Like if
Right.
you listen on here, what do I always harp on at the Polynesian?
Oh,
Oh,
pulled
the
pork
pulled
nacho.
pork.
Pulled pork nachos. You get that one thing is like, it's steady, it's good, it's great, and but like it's the limited, like, oh, let me throw out
The
this
limited
new
editions.
thing, like this food, and
Disneyland goes nuts with those limited time churros.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And some of them
Some of
aren't
them-
that great.
what's the worst one?
Oh, what was that one that we had? It was it the green apple one that had
Oh,
the
yeah,
green,
green
apple,
apple with
dust
a-
on it?
And the dipping sauce, like, so it was like a caramel apple. It was just
Wasn't that great?
no.
I had one on my last trip here. It was like, oh, let's try it. It's like a sour cherry one.
Oh yes, we did try that one.
I was just all like, let's try it. I like sour stuff, and like that thing was so hard to get through.
Oh,
It was so sour, and I like sour things. This was like overly sour.
churro, like that just doesn't
No.
sound good.
The fluffernutter one though was top notch.
The apple pie one was good too.
The one I keep missing and want to try is the maple bacon churro. I heard really good things about that one.
I had a Dole Whip churro and that was really good.
Really?
Not tried
It was
that
like a few years ago.
We're not Disney adults.
Just an episode.
We
just on
much
churros.
defend ourselves later on.
When we're like critiquing the and the churro cart and
Churro cart number 4. Cast member at this time now. So they got a good example here of like someone taking a Disney adult too far. So go at no time was this distaste drawn into sharper relief than earlier this month when, and this was written in July of this year, when a post on a Reddit MIA A-hole forum went massively viral. The post, which was reportedly written by a bride who had opted to pay for Mickey and Minnie to appear at her wedding rather than feed her guest, was like most things on Reddit, anonymously written and poorly sourced. Yet, it hit a nerve with exasperated internet denizens, I think I'm saying that right, who posted thousands of comments excoriating the author before moderators shut down the thread. It's really bad when the moderator's like, okay, you guys have gone too far.
That's so interesting though, like to have like it's their wedding.
Yeah, let them
Exactly.
do what they want.
They want Mickey. I want Mickey and Minnie. They should have been in our wedding. Why didn't we do that? Like that's a very smart move. No,
Who's gonna remember? You're gonna go to a wedding. Are they gonna remember? Oh, look back 10 years. Oh, that one wedding. The food they served there was pretty good. Are you gonna remember? Oh yeah, they had Mickey and Minnie show up at the wedding.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's what they're gonna
Like-
remember.
like
Pineapple haystacks or Mickey and Minnie.
yeah, right. Yeah, that to me is just like, why care about somebody else's big day? That's their day.
Yeah.
And that's where we're getting
Yeah.
to where they're really, the internet's pushing down on Disney fans like, oh, like that's beneath
Why
us
would
because
you-
we don't like that.
Yeah.
Or like, oh really? You're not gonna follow within the norms of weddings of feeding the guests?
It's more of like, why would you spend all that money when it's like, why spend all your money going to Disney when you can travel the world or.
Exactly, yeah.
World
can travel.
Showcase.
There you go.
Yeah.
What countries have you been to?
And I think it just comes down to a preferencing. There are some individuals that like to go to concerts and they will spend all their money on concerts. And there's some individuals that like to go to Disney.
I agree, and I think that's where the theme is, where we're gonna get in this article. It's like it's personal choice.
Yeah.
According to the reaction to this post, it was swift and vicious. People were saying Disney fans are a plague upon society, and that they will be the end of Western civilization. It's like, of all the things on Reddit that you come upon, I look at my feed, and at one point I go like, oh, Mickey and Minnie at a wedding. Oh,
That is the
oh,
end.
bad taste in my mouth right there.
End time.
Disgusting.
Call the locusts. Well, this is the end of times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I missed that scripture in Revelations when the mouse feeds out with the bride. Yeah, I missed that one. So they're calling it the cringe factor. In my discussion with other Disney fans and experts, the word that kept coming up was simply cringe. On most basic level, it strikes outsiders as deeply embarrassing to throw oneself into a subculture, ostensibly aimed at children, despite the fact that Disney Park, as Walt Disney first conceived of them, were very much intended for all people of all ages. you got a quote for Walt.
Yeah. Walt Disney was asked specifically about Disney adults, and that's surprising thing to hear from like somebody would ask Walt in that time period about Disney adults when it's a relevant topic today. And he talks about how, what is it? On some days of the week, some
During the week,
weeks during
yeah.
slow seasons, there'll be times where there's no children in the theme park at all. It's just adults. And
So it's nothing new.
no, it's something that's always been around since Disneyland's been around. I mean, which kind of makes sense, especially back in the day when they had the ticket books. You know, the kids would go ride the rides in the daytime, and they would go home when it's time for bed, and the adults would stay at night. You know, I know a big thing that Disney was advertising was date night at Disneyland. You know, bring your date for dancing and things like that.
dancing in the Rose Garden.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll leave the wife with the kids and bring the dates. You know.
Whoa.
Oh no! Oh, man.
That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
different type of Disney adult.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's a different subcategory.
I love you, dear.
But yeah, it kind of goes to that, you know, the Disneyland dedication speech where he says, to all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land, you know. And so
Unless you're a first time with all your kids, then you're extra special.
right.
You're a snowflake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to skip all the lines. No.
Mm-hmm. We like you more.
Right. Like I mean the whole idea of Disney, the whole idea behind Disneyland was that the fact that this would be a place for not just children to have fun, but everyone.
Families, yeah, everyone.
Everyone to have fun. If it was designed just for children, we wouldn't have rides like Rock and Roller Coaster, Everest, you know, things like that where like there's height limitations.
And let's face it, Disney's aiming advertisement merchandise to us millennials.
Oh, the expensive stuff is.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because that's how they're making their money.
When I say expensive, I mean it's like ridiculous expensive. A plushie there is expensive.
Have you seen the prices to the new Galaxy Hotel?
No. Oh, yeah.
The
That's
Star Wars Hotel
Yeah, it's like 6,000.
for a
Like
family of four.
yeah.
I
how many
don't-
DVC points was that?
That we don't qualify for.
Not yet.
Not
From
yet.
what I'm seeing, those
That'd be
the
60,000 points.
those reservations for that hotel is going down quite a bit. So it would not surprise me if eventually DVC gets included.
I wonder if they take, kidneys. Or
As a down payment.
as a down.
I think that if they're going under the assumption that these Disney adults want it only for adults, and like there are some adults who are like, oh, all these children, like they're cranky, like then yeah, like they are kind of like they're harsh and all everybody's mellow, you know what I mean? Like yeah, everyone can enjoy it, but that's like I feel like our stance on we want everyone to enjoy it. Like I'm just here to have fun. I don't care what you're doing here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Everyone's
Like,
in their own world. I know because those like little ECVs keep cutting me off, and I'm like, my foot, and they're like, peace out.
I mean, I'm
I'm going to Pirates.
nothing like getting run over by a stroller, but
yeah.
but like that's part of the experience. You kind of just you roll with it, you know what I mean? And then when they get stuck in the track, that's not my problem.
The trolley's coming. I can't get it out.
It's like fried green tomatoes.
Okay, so they say it's a lot of escapism, and that if that works for you, then it works very well, and if it doesn't, it has the opposite effect. And so that's where somebody who's writing a postdoctorate research of lectures of American culture. So if you're looking for a PhD, and you like Disney, just do about studies of Disney and you just get to go to the park. Because later on, this article, this person's like, I was doing research in the parks. And I'm like, you found the best school, like PhD, like
gosh.
paper to write.
I'm trading majors.
So they go into it. They go, with the emphasis of selling magic moments and making dreams come true, Disney sells a rather unsophisticated version of wish fulfillment to consumers who willingly spend thousands of dollars on unauthentic emotional experiences that they know, at least on some level, isn't really authentic at all. Harsh. Thoughts on that?
How do you measure what's authentic or not? For
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I invalidate your feelings. Like,
You're not really happy.
Oh, that joy's not real. That's fake joy. You bought that, and it's all like, have we not been out into the world lately?
I mean, for those who grew up going to Disney, it can be a very emotional experience. There's times where, we walk into the park, we read the sign as we go through the gate, and she's bawling the whole time.
Oh.
yeah.
It is an emotional experience for some adults to go to the park because that's where we created our memories. That's where we went on our honeymoon. For us, it's an emotional adventure.
Yeah, my dad took me there when I was young. My dad's no longer here, he was a real big proponent of Disney. He's like, Stormy, you go to Disney, you're getting an expectation of something bigger. He's like, if you can work for Disney, you can work anywhere because they have high standards that, and he was not he was a boomer, you know what I mean? And like, he was like, this is the kind of place that, you want to work for, you want to be. And that was in the early 90s, that he was saying those kind of things. And he's like, those standards those were given to us by our parents. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if I'm a weirdo for liking that, that's our parents' fault.
Exactly.
It reminds me of this story. I think I've shared this story before, but I went to a Disney convention, and this guy who used to be the president of the park, like, he shared this experience of right after 9/11 happened. The park closed, 9/11, and the next day, he sees a guest sitting on the bench on Main Street crying, just trying to cope with what was going on. And she goes, this is the safest, this is the place where I feel most at peace. This was where I had to come to try to grasp my mind as to what just happened, that shook our entire nation's mental state.
Yeah.
And that's what the Disney parks do for a lot of people. And to kind of like poo on that, it's like, who are you to do that?
Just because somebody stole or got the last pretzel and this lady wrote her paper, now we're just like, let's seek and destroy.
There's a few other pretzel carts you can go to.
Exactly.
You don't have to wait in the line at Frontierland.
There will never be another pretzel again.
Sure, all done. No more. That was the last Mickey one. They're all goofy now.
This one tastes funny. Yuck.
So they go into adding extra layers of repulsion to outsiders. Disney adults' ability to escape into this fantasy is almost entirely dependent on their ability to afford it. Given how expensive merch, park entry, resort reservations are, vacation costing thousands of dollars at a minimum, it requires a great deal of economic capital to devote oneself to the fandom. It's their choice.
Right.
Yeah.
Their money.
Everything you want to do costs money. So if that means you're going to the movies every weekend, if that means you're going to your sporting events, your concerts, like, I'm just saying, when I stack it all up, if I can see like those all events at Disney, like, we have the state fair here, you know what I mean? Like,
And it's like,
It's expensive. Well,
it's
we-
expensive, and you're
it's-
just like, I'm not getting anything.
We
for
grew
this.
up that, like, I remember asking my parents, like, oh, I want to go to the state fair because all my friends are going, and my parents are like, no, we'll go to Disneyland. Like,
And they're like, that's the easiest way to quail a kid's like, no, Dad, I really want to go. Like, no, we're going to Disneyland. Okay. And like, it's the end. I'm like, cool.
Exactly,
I won. You lost.
Yeah.
It's the trump card. It wins.
yeah, even our kids are like, that's not the teacups. And I was like, I know, that's the imitation, version. That's not the Dumbo ride. Yeah, it's the pink elephant ride. Like it's
You're
a
still
knockoff.
referencing Disneyland with all these rides.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but you go to the state fair. It's like what, $10 per ride now, or more for some of them. And so you have 2 kids going on 10 rides. That's
The food's
Too
not
high-
as good.
no.
What,
It's
fried
more-
butter and like fried
Oreos.
Oreos and
Yeah.
pickles and
And you're not sure if the ride's gonna like kill you.
that's true.
Like when was that inspected and by who?
I know. You go to the state fair and you watch those rides go, and you look at the base and it's like wobbling back and forth. You're like, no.
I've seen that video on
Yeah.
Reddit where like
Yeah.
the crowd has to jump on
Yeah,
the
I've
base,
seen
try
that.
to hold it back down. They're like, that's my kid.
Yeah, our daughter goes. We were there, and she's like, I don't really trust rides that aren't Disney. And I was like,
Don't blame
I've
you.
taught you well.
She has her pinky out and she's drinking her. Oh my.
Oh no, mother! I couldn't possibly go on that ride.
Exactly. So let's talk about the origins of Disney adults, or this saying, this phenomenon that's swept across the internet that's destroying Western civilization. The phenomenon of adults enjoying the theme parks has existed for decades, says Leigh Elgar Levine. She's one of the PhD kind of students. As earlier as the 90s coverage of Disney fairy tale wedding programs prompted plenty of sarcastic headlines about why grown people would want to get married in the vicinity of a cartoon mouse. But the term itself is somewhat new construction, according to Amanda Brennan, and I love her title for her job. Senior Director Trends at XX Artists and so-called meme librarian. I was like, oh, I am like meme librarian to the fourth. I've like scrolled through so much of the internet. I'm a pro. Like, so I saw a meme librarian. Imagine seeing that on a business card. Brendan identifies the microblogging platform Tumblr. It's like, who really goes on Tumblr anymore?
Still around?
It's still
Is
around.
it still a thing? Is MySpace a thing?
Yeah, it's like Mike recommended my friend from MySpace, Tumblr. The beating heart of the internet fandom culture as the origin of the Disney adult. Specifically, it was a blog documenting Disney bounding, a term used to describing informally cosplaying as characters at the park using the color palettes inspired by the character, which she ID'd as one of the first adult-driven Disney trends to capture the attention of mainstream. I mean, I see that. Like,
It's to get around the whole costume rule.
it really
Because
is.
adults want to wear costumes in the
Yeah.
park, and so this is their way of getting around that.
I mean, do you remember when we were going into the park when I got married
Yes.
and we were taking
Yeah.
pictures?
Oh.
We get to the front gate and like, boom,
Security.
the manager for Main Street is there.
Oh yeah,
Like we're
they
2 feet out of the turnstiles.
they saw us coming, and like they probably got notified when we hit the monorail that we were coming.
And it wasn't like my ex-wife.
We were wearing tuxedos.
We were wearing
Okay.
and
A
we're-
wedding
and it's
stuff.
not overly.
She wasn't like a full blown wedding.
It was
dress.
more like a
like
cocktail
Cocktail
dress,
dress.
almost. Yeah. And so it's not like it's dragging anywhere, but they're like, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to take pictures with other guests, and like you're not allowed to do this. And they let the rules down real quick. So you don't, as adults, you can't dress up as characters because they can't control you.
Yeah.
And so I think the internet has been that gateway and that outlook for those fans that are like, I look like Ariel. I want to have my picture like seen by other people and
People
get
have
that
a problem
validation.
with that, but have they been to a Comic-Con?
Exactly.
Right.
No. Western civilization's in good hands there. No. They're right in this article. Find good people there.
Comic bookers all around. They're like,
Exactly.
So that's why Disney bought Marvel, so that they can be like, look, it's all okay now.
We own you. And Star Wars fans are like, not us. And it's all like, you're
Oh,
now.
yeah?
The
You
mouse
are now
is in there.
mine.
DC's laughing though, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, we're laughing to
For
where
now.
we don't have the bank, that's for sure. And so they go into now the millennial is a key word here, as most of the current discourses around Disney adult centers on the specific demographic. Oh, let's really poo-poo on the millennials, the one that had to deal with the Great Recession and like the ridiculous college loans that they have. Yes, let's beat up on them for being Disney fans.
Heaven forbid that we look for any spark of joy in our lives.
Listen, our childhood, we are the latchkey kids, okay?
I feel like ever since I've known what a millennial is, everyone said millennials are ruining the world, and it's just it's always been so negative. It's let me find joy, let me find happiness.
Yeah, I had a Gen Z person call me a boomer. I was like, wow, I went from millennial to a boomer. Boy, I'm just oppressing everybody at this point. I'm hated.
You should go to get your discount then.
So they go, indeed, the entitled childless millennial became a meme in 2019 following a mom's irate Facebook post accusing non-parent visitors of depriving her child of a Mickey's pretzel, prompting a trolling on New York Post headline, "Sorry, childless millennials, going to Disney World is weird." Part of this is a function of timing, as millennials came of age during the Tumblr era. Really, Tumblrs that fall?
It just feels like high school drama. Like, oh, you're a nerd. You're gonna pick on you. We're gonna stuff you in the locker because you like comic books. That's how it totally feels. Like the amount of shaming that's coming from
It's
this.
our Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Yeah,
And just because I'm at Disney without kids doesn't mean I don't have any.
Right.
Yeah.
I left them with my wife.
Nope.
If I went without it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, let's think about it. Disney for Gen Xers. They were born in the 70s, and, they get a little bit of the Disney afternoon cartoons. But the millennials got the full blast force of Disney going, we're going straight for you, kids. Afternoon, after school, and then we've got your morning cartoons, and we're going to come at you with the golden age of Disney animation. Think of Generation X. They got what? Black Cauldron?
Fox and the Hound.
Fox and the Hound. Great, or the Rescuers. I mean, they're fine, but we do call it, what is it, the Bronze Age or the Dark? It's
Dark
really
Age.
the Dark Ages
That's
of animation.
that's coming up on a future episode when we rank those movies.
And I think that's why millennials have so much joy, because they're such an integral part of our childhood, which our parents were, if we were fortunate, gave us that joy to have that good time to go to the parks or enjoy the Disney cartoons that we did get.
Yeah, we were Disney's biggest push. We had Ariel, we had, Aladdin, we had all of those big blockbuster type films coming right at our pivotal ages. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think I was a millennial until I looked at the dates and I was like, oh,
I guess I am.
I guess.
Yep.
I was like, I'm not our daughter's like, you guys are millennials, and I was like, no, and she's like, yes, you are.
According to the internet.
According to the internet.
Wikipedia said this.
Apparently, we're the end of Western civilization. Too.
So mine as well. That's why we're Disney. That's why we're Disney adults.
I need the joy that I can get from this.
Right.
So yeah, they keep going on Tumblr and this. I get it. The internet exploded with our generation and sharing our Disney experiences, and the algorithm has gotten really good that people like Disney and people are going to like it, and that's what people throw content at. Like the vloggers. I mean, from when YouTube first came out to where it's at now with the vloggers and the Disney fandom.
The Disney vloggers.
I mean, I specifically don't have a login for YouTube, so I don't subscribe. But what do you guys subscribe to on YouTube? Do you have Disney go-tos?
Oh yeah.
We have
Yeah.
a few actually.
I mean, you don't need to name drop them. We don't need to lose any more fans. But
Yeah. Funny, we're because we are those Disney there's Patreon too that we watched one, and our kids we like watching this blog, or and it just became a thing. We became friends with one of the one of the YouTubers, and
Which one?
Yeah,
I want to know. I want to know which
know.
one.
Mr. Cheesy Pop.
Oh,
Ah.
Mr. Cheesy Pop. Okay.
He's really cool.
He's
in
very,
person,
very
actually. We've met
nice.
him a few times at the
Yeah,
park.
yeah, he's
together.
cool. I have no clue. I'm just trying to fit
I'm
in.
like, if you look at the green milk,
He's one of the original
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Disney
Yeah.
vloggers.
He was on an episode of The Office.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
was he?
actually we're in
Yeah.
one of his episodes
Yeah.
drinking green milk right before in Star Wars Land.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's so cool to see yourself
We've
and
got
somebody else.
celebrities here.
We actually
Sign her coconut.
into the Galaxy's Edge that day because it was when it was
Yeah.
first opening and they were doing the
Yeah.
soft opening and you had to have reservations to
It-
get in.
Yeah, it was the last day of the reservation system. Like you could, and then do you remember? It's like been for forever. It feels like, but
When you had to wait at 7 o'clock to get your reservation.
no,
or-
To get when they first opened Galaxy's
soft
Edge,
opening.
the
Yeah,
area,
this-
you
Oh.
had to have a reservation
For,
to
like-
get in, and they only allowed a certain amount of people in Galaxy's Edge period during the day.
And so, yeah, we reached out to him and I was like, hey, we have an extra, he's like, yes, yeah, I'll come with you. And so,
Oh, cool.
and then so we tried the green milk and the blue milk. And
Blue
yeah.
Milk's better.
It's good to
Yes.
spend time with people that won't judge you and appreciate the art and the experience with you.
Very
I
true.
don't know if like you've all experienced it, but I feel like sometimes once people find out you're a Disney adult, they want to compete with you. Of like,
Oh, they're the
how
worst.
much,
The
like-
competers. And I think that is a bad Disney adult.
that's a bad Disney adult. Like those who compete and be like, "Oh, I know more than you. I'm a bigger Disney
It's like,
adult."
all right, that's
You're like,
nice.
"That's cool.
Like-
Can't we all just have fun?" And
I like to tell them I've been to Disneyland on 75 different trips in the last 16 years.
oh, see, he's the problem.
You're
I
the,
see that and
You're
I'm
the
all like,
toxic
whoa.
one. Oh,
No,
okay.
no.
No, I like helping people
I-
plan trips.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what
It
we.
is.
I loved. I was like, we get called all the time. They're like, "Hey, can you help us with this?" And I was like, "Sure." Or, we had friends last month. They're like, "We're in Adventureland. Where do we eat?" I was like, and I'm like, that's like the most fun
Yeah.
thing to be that person.
It's
in
so much
someone's-
fun.
You're sharing in their magic. You're help like refining it,
you're
smoothing
helping
it
creating
out.
magic,
Yeah.
making sure they have a great experience.
And I feel like that's what most Disney adults are very helpful. We're not like the Karen group or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be entitled.
Yeah, we're not into. I feel like most of us, we see, hey, that person's lost, and like they're like, what time does the 3:00 parade start? And we're like, we go. I think because we appreciate the park, we go and help the cast members.
You're like secondhand cast members.
Right.
Yes.
I do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, like, oh, you like, you
Oh,
see someone
let
needs
me
a
take a
picture?
picture?
Let me get your
Yeah.
picture right
Yes.
there.
One thing I found is a lot of adults who hate Disney don't know how to do Disney, and so that's what I like doing.
True.
To show them.
This
Let me
is
show
very
you how to
true.
do it so you can enjoy it.
Yeah, there's nothing fun about standing in like 4-hour lines. You know what I mean? Like in the middle of the day, you get there at 10 o'clock, and you don't have a plan, and you're like, okay, so should we start with Small World or like? Not
Yeah.
that Small World's bad.
No, we're
if
gonna
you're-
start with submarine ride. That's gonna be our
Oh.
first ride of the day.
It's her favorite.
Oh, no, I, can't. I don't. I love my rides, but there are certain rides.
Well, there's a secret. What you do is you go in with a wheelchair and say, I can't get into the submarine. They'll put you in the room where you watch the ride
screen.
experience in a room.
Yeah.
I
and
feel
you don't
like
have
they
to
could
get
do
into
that
the
on
submarine.
YouTube. Like, is
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah,
horrible?
it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why can't you just watch it on YouTube?
But
on
if
the
you
couch?
want the experience, if you want to see it,
Well, and Astro Orbiters is probably the one no go for me.
I haven't
Same.
been on that, and
She
since
went
I
on
was
when
like
she was
15.
Yeah, when she was a kid, it was on the roof.
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
when it was on the roof, and I was like, "This is how I die."
I just remember like all they had was a strap.
Yes.
That leather strap with the grommet holes, and I remember just going
and
like,
it tilts you,
and it
then
tilts
you're just
you.
like,
and I remember mom was on the ride, and she was just like, "This is fun," and I'm like, "I feel like I'm gonna fall out. I swear to
I was
you."
holding on to the gears, and I was like, "Nope, I'm gonna claw my way out of this. It's like gonna crawl out like Stitch or something, That's also a Disney thing. We like start referencing multiple movies just to describe one event. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
It's easy because it's commonly known among fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I specifically use like GIFs and memes of Disney because I've got a young girl that's watched Disney all the time, and so I'll reference things that, like I said, "You go, girl," and my wife sent like Hercules GIF, and I was like, "I was hoping you did that. That's why you're my wife."
Yeah.
Okay, so over the past year or so, the viral moments mocking Disney adults keep accumulating, piling one on top of the other. There was the TikTok video of the woman tearfully seeing the Magic Kingdom for the first time, and it's like you guys mentioned that. It's like you don't know their experience
Yeah, you
there
don't
and
know
like
what
how
their-
much joy. I got goosebumps as you were saying that story. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a beautiful story.
Yeah. Well, like after my dad died, because my dad was such a big proponent of Disney, and we'd been to the funeral with our kids. We're like, we need a dose of happiness. My kids had seen me cry, you know what I mean? And I was like, so we went to Disneyland, and like in my mind, I was not in the happiest mind
Right.
frame, but I still have to be mom. I still have to have fun. And so they called my dad. My dad was Grandpa Donald Duck, because he would always do the
Aw.
Donald Duck. And so Donald Duck is my favorite. And, so we bought one of those Donald Duck pens. And so every picture that we took, we had our pen with us. And it was just it was a way to honor him. And that's like what I want. Like when I die, I don't want people like crying. My mom always said, eat a bowl of ice cream and, like do my favorite things. And my dad was a big proponent of Disney. That's when I go party at Disneyland, like
Yeah.
I feel like that's
It's true. It's like how you celebrate it there or visit. It's your business.
Yeah.
Like they mentioned here, like we saw the video at Paris Disney, where guys up on the stage and that Disney
About to
cast member
propose, yeah.
comes in and swoops up that ring and like it goes viral and Disney's like, we'll take care of that person, but that Disney person still's like, you keep that stage clear.
Right.
No one's allowed up there, and he did what he was told to do, but he executed bad judgment in a moment.
Yeah.
But people are like, who would choose? And the internet goes, instead of like attacking the guy ruining a moment, the internet attacks the guy proposing at that location. And like I saw people propose in all different locations.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That-
actually proposed at a Disney park. So, oh wow, I really can't. I'm getting defensive here now. No, but like, what about this? Baseball games.
Yeah.
The big jumbotron. Like nothing says romantic like the guy behind you screaming at the pitcher like you boom and like explicitives. It's like,
yeah, I'm never going to be the one to say yes to that, but like,
yeah.
like good for them. I don't get like they
Yeah.
must really love baseball. Like,
So I think it's hypocritical, really, if anybody like criticize like, oh, why would you do it there? It's just hoity-toity. And then like going into the locations, they judge, like. So we go right here. When she visits the park through her work, this is the person doing the research. And I go, what a job when you're doing research at a park. Says she was stuck by the sense of collected effervescence, a phrase coined by the philosopher Emily Durkheim. That's what I think of when I, oh, Emily Durkheim, when I go into the park. That describes when people achieve the sacred through community interaction, the highly ritualized behavior, the collective energy in the park, that they feel as if you're in a sports stadium, she says. We also see them do this religious worship. Any kinds of religious organizations can produce that effervescence, and Disney just has so much of it. Do you think that Disney is kind of that replacement for... I'm not saying it is replacing religion, but for some people...
For some people,
For some
absolutely
people
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you go there to feel a certain way. It's called the happiest place on earth for a reason.
Right.
You go there, if you're miserable, that's on you. You're doing something wrong if you're miserable at Disney. I mean, literally, you go there to be happy.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Unless you have like a photographer there following the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins and just trying to catch him in the one moment where he's not smiling on a happy ride.
We've run into famous people there. We ran into AJ from the Backstreet Boys last year.
Oh,
We
boy.
ran
nice.
into Nick Carter
yeah,
from the
my
Backstreet
millennial
Boys.
heart.
We
I was
actually ran
like-
into AJ in Rancho de Zocalo.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. My 90s girl like fangirled so hard, but I was like, "Hey AJ, what's up?"
It's true.
Want to play it cool?
Yeah, and like our kids are like, "Do you know him?" And I was like,
Yes.
It's like, I want it that way.
I was like, listen, there was a time where I could tell you his favorite color, what he'd order at like McDonald's and,
Yeah.
his birthday. So, like,
It's like turning red. That's my
yeah.
group right there.
But I mean, even they want that dose of happiness.
Yeah.
So
They do.
who are these people who don't like happiness?
Like,
I agree.
I think like maybe like the people, I do feel like there's some, I guess, Disney adults who like go in and like buy all the merchandise to resell it.
The resell.
Oh, those
Oh,
are
yeah.
those are the people
Those-
really
yeah,
ruining
those,
it.
those are the people in the article.
Yeah.
They're the end of Western civilization. Like, when they're going in like like they're creating like, I don't know, maybe that's
People trying to take advantage of
Disney adults.
Disney adults.
yeah.
They buy 12 popcorn buckets and leave none for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, let's just all be happy and share.
Yeah, we really don't know what that lady, like, how many, like, pretzels that Disney adult
There's
took.
a reseller.
He's like, I want 48 pretzels right now.
No more pretzel. And the guy's right next to it. All right, pretzels for $50. Like, that's outrageous.
But like maybe how irritating was that kid? I want the pretzel, and he's like, I will take all of your pretzels.
I know. You gotta imagine, like, there are so many food options at Disneyland. To be hung up over a pretzel is like, come on.
Right.
And honestly,
And their
she-
pretzels are garbage, in my opinion. I do
You can-
not like
well,
their
You can
pretzels.
get the same thing at like Harkins.
Right.
Their jalapeno cream cheese filled ones are better though.
Are
Yeah.
they?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and honestly, this lady was probably just having a bad day at a Disney day. And
I've never had a bad day at a Disney park.
she went on a social media platform, ranted, and it backfired. And it was either hold my ground or, yeah. So,
We've never put anything wrong on social media.
Yeah.
And
No
honestly,
one
if
Yeah.
she
ever.
would have approached a cast member, they probably could have pointed her where she could get one because they are very helpful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the attitude you go into it. You're like, hey, he really wanted. Do you know where I can find one? They'd probably been like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Let me walk you and get
Yeah.
you a pretzel.
I'll get you
And
in
they probably
line.
would have even got it to her for free if she would have been nice
Honestly.
to them. I mean, we've had some amazing experience with cast members that have done stuff like that.
It's amazing what happens when you're so nice to cast members because us as cast members, I mean,
I was always mean to the nice ones. I was like, you need to take that down. You're at a Disney park. None of that.
I mean, especially when I was working at front desk and those people that were checking in and they were super nice, I was more likely to give them a credit on their room, give them order like a special cake for their room and such. But those that are checking in being rude, I'm like, bye.
Last
Here's
time
your
I
key.
got an upgrade, and you're just like, well, we're today.
Yeah. When they come
That's
up,
another thing.
That's the number one way of not getting an upgrade.
You are entitled to nothing.
Exactly.
That's one thing you have to remember. You are entitled to nothing. But when nice things happen, just take it as is. Don't expect that to be the norm going forward.
All right, so we're gonna finish off with the author talking about her being a Disney fan or Disney adult. The impulse to be viewed as distinct from other members of a specific cringe community is one I could strongly identify with. But when I consider the root of my affection for Disney, I think it ultimately comes down to two things: an appreciation for the artistry involved in creating a fantastical experience for people, and also my own memories of the time spent there with my family. At Disney, no one worried about who was getting what grade, or who was sick, or whether anyone had an eating disorder, or even whether we'd have trouble getting back to the hotel for dinner. It was the one place where we didn't fight, where we could abandon our overactive critical faculties and let the experience of total sensory overload. There's a giant winged purple dragon. There's an automatronic 19th century man talking about technological progress in a bathtub. Here you go. Here's what it's like for the President Lincoln to get a haircut, completely take over.
Who remembers that one? President Lincoln getting a haircut.
I was all like, I don't know that reference.
That was one of the shows that replaced Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. They used to do an audio show with Mr. Lincoln getting a haircut and him talking about his preparation for the Gettysburg Address. It's a very interesting show that they
And
did.
that Imagineer was fired.
That's the reason why they brought back the original show.
I'm not and never have been. This is the author. I'm not saying this. I'm not and never have been a person for whom joy really comes in consistently supply. But Disney, it's nothing less than an IV in my arm. Even the meticulous planning of the daily schedule gives me more of a sense of satisfaction than I feel in my everyday life. And considering how hard joy is for me to come by, I feel no need to apologize for that. Ultimately, neither does Parrish. There's an expectation for Disney adults of what kind of feelings they should have in the park, he says. People who think Disney is only for kids, they're not thinking of how our sense of joy can evolve over time, and I think there's an element of jealousy towards the Disney adult that they are able to live so freely. I was
Agreed.
like, here, here!
I
I
agree.
gotta say, I completely agree with that. Anytime we're helping someone plan a trip, I get more excited than they are. For example, recently my partner at work, she was going to take her kid for the first time. She had never been either. And
Oh,
she
you
was-
want to
she
make
was
sure
getting
it's right
vacation
because
ideas.
it's a first for two.
Exactly. And she was deciding what she wanted to do. I was like, you guys need to do Disney, but let me tell you how to do it. And so I just laid it all out for her. I'm like, these are the rides your kid can go on. Measure him now so you know you can plan ahead. He can go on this, he can't go on that. And helping them plan that just brought me so much joy.
I think about the reason why we take our kids to Disney. I want them to enjoy it. I hope that when they're older, they still like the things that we did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, if your family went camping when you're younger, you're not doing some things that you're like, oh, I hope they don't enjoy this in 30 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, you hope that
You sharing the joy of
Yeah.
something that you enjoyed as a kid. You want to make sure it passed on to them.
Yeah.
Because it worked for you. It's got to work
Yeah.
for them.
yeah, so that's just so.
I don't
silly
think
to me.
Father Yodeler and Mother Yodeler had any impact on us.
No. He's the first Disney adult.
Yeah. That we know.
Yeah.
Right.
Him and my dad would have been like, hey.
Oh, for sure.
And it's not that uncommon. It's like, why is it our generation has it now? It's like Walt impacted so many kids, and like all you hear when like biographers talk about Walt Disney, or or they're talking about their experiences with Walt Disney, and they were kids, they were just so like, it was so impactful meeting the man. And so for those that grew up seeing Uncle Walt on TV, that's the first generation of Disney adults right there, I think.
And Disney adults have always existed since Disneyland opened. It's
Even
just,
before
right.
Disneyland
And
opened.
it's just our generation that's on social media
It's the Tumblr.
that's being showed, and there are those that are outside of the community that doesn't fully understand that are judging.
And I think part of it is jealousy because there is a lack of joy in the world, and those people don't understand what joy Disneyland can bring you.
They just see the price tag and they're like, that.
Yeah,
We
that's
just
what it
choose
is.
to spend our money differently than you do.
That's
I don't
it.
make much more than you, or if anything, but like we save and we prioritize it to do Disney. You prioritize it to do whatever it is you do. You know what I mean? And that's cool.
You want to spend your extra money on those lotto tickets you buy every week? You can do that.
Yeah,
but we're going
right.
to put that money.
You know how many Disney tickets I'm going to buy with that 1.9 billion? I'll be like, I live there. I'm playing Monopoly
I'm
with
gonna-
DVC, all right?
Parks at the same day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ultimate the ultimate Disney plan of like I buy a hypersonic jet and fly from Japan to get to where I need to go. Any last final thoughts on Disney adults? I mean, we're all filled with joy with Disney as adults, and poo-poo on those who are hating on us because we're having fun, and if you're not,
Yeah.
you're doing something wrong.
We,
Yeah.
what's funny is that like we laugh at it now, but we did have someone come into our house and be like, "Your living room looks like a 12-year-old bedroom," and
Oh,
we're like,
thank you.
"That's the aesthetic we were going for."
High five, slap.
I was like, "Thanks. Did you see our kitchen? Like we have all the hats on the top of the cupboards, and all of our popcorn buckets. I'm proud to be a Disney an adult Disney nerd. You know, like Disney nerds for life.
Yeah.
You got anything, Peter?
Disney fans are a unique breed. I'm not going to not going to lie about that.
There's some nutzos out there.
Yeah.
There are.
They know like when the colored garbage cans change to Animal Kingdom by date. I met those while I worked there, and I was all like, "You're a weirdo. Stay away from me."
I mean, there's not too many companies that can have their own individual convention and have that many people show up and sell out as quickly as Disney does. And so, like, I understand where a lot of people are like, whoa, the people that just don't understand why Disney's as big of a deal as it is. But, I mean, as we've said throughout this episode here is, you know, we all have things that we're into. I had a coworker, he goes, wow, you know a lot. And I go, well, you probably know a lot about football stats that I know nothing about. You know, it's just we all consume our information from different sources. And if you're happy knowing, you know, the different stats of the different college football players, that's good on you. I know a bunch of random facts about Disneyland and the history and the importance of certain things.
How much did Disneyland cost?
Oh, I listened to this podcast.
All right, it's your quiz. I remember. Did you remember?
I don't remember.
No,
That's why
I
I'm
don't
asking.
remember. Oh,
So
okay.
Father
Was it
Yoder doesn't scold me.
I know. I was gonna.
No,
say
Daddy, no.
Like 17 million.
17.
Yeah, you got it. You got
There we
it.
go.
17.
17. All right. You know, and you know, to wrap things up, what we do in this life with our time and our money is our business. You know, and that's kind of my mentality. And if you're not going to like it, then we're not going to cross paths, you know. All power to you. I won't judge you for your thing. And, you know, don't judge me for mine. So, so give us your thoughts. We're going to wrap things up. Give us your thoughts on Disney adults. You know, what makes a really bad Disney adult and what makes a good Disney adult? I'm a good one. I can claim that one. I've never done anything wrong. My sanity's great. Follow us on our social medias. I don't know what they are.
Instagram, Twitter.
Do we have
Facebook.
Do we have an Indeed? That's the only one I've got.
That's the question.
I don't have a Tumblr.
We gotta get on that one.
That's where I do my makeup and
We've got a
tutorials.
MySpace. If you find it, you get to own the podcast.
No, I put too much money into this sound since I ain't doing that. So yeah, hit us up. We have an email.
Yeah.
We're 90s technology.
Yeah, MatterhornYodlers@gmail.com. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, there's a question on the Spotify. You can respond to it, and then we can pin that response on there. So
And I do want to I want to give a special thank you to our special guests,
Yeah.
Stormy, Nathaniel. You go, Nathan.
Nathan.
I was all like, I felt like your mom was like, Nathaniel, no Disney for you. Till you clean up your Disney figurines. No,
Right.
somehow your mother turned into like a Cuban man. You know, too much. I Love Lucy lately, I guess.
We've got some real celebrities here.
It was a joy having
Yeah.
you here,
Thank you.
Thank you
and
for
the
having us.
knowledge and your experiences shared with us helped these podcasts. So thank you very much for spending some time with us.
And thank you for listening as well.
Yes,
Thank you.
our fans.
It's always good to interact with our listeners. So
I don't even know how to act sometimes. Like, oh, what's your podcast? And I go like, oh, really? I'm so suddenly shy right now. What do you
yeah.
think?
I was rousing Peter. I was like, who was that who didn't know Small World? And he's like, that's
Oh,
my
that-
wife.
that was my wife. Yeah.
She's new.
I was like, I'm
She's
so sorry.
new in the Disney community.
So
She wasn't meant for that episode. She was there for the next episode we were recording.
with all that being said, Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember before your bobsled comes to a complete stop to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.